Welcome back to the Yellow Room podcast, where it's all about positivity and empowering you to become the very best version of yourself. I'm Nika, the host of this podcast, and I'm so ecstatic that you tuned in for yet another powerful topic intended to empower you. Thank you. Ladies, it's Working Woman Wednesday. For those of you who are new to the Yellow Room, Working Woman Wednesday is an ongoing series dedicated to professional development for the working woman. Thank you so much for tuning in for an all-new season of the Yellow Room. Moving forward, not only will I be giving a special shout out and shedding some light on the wonderful things that you working women are doing via Instagram, I will now also be giving out shout outs on my episodes. The very first nomination for this season goes to Miss Moesha, who is a fellow podcaster. Her podcast is poppin', so you all should tune in to her podcast as well. More details, just 1 second. Moesha is the mouthpiece for her generation who seeks to share her story and wisdom in hopes of inspiring and leading others towards Christ. After the loss of her mother at the very tender age of 14 and falling into a deep depression, Moesha realized the true perspective on life is being honest about where you are and where you want to go. Amen to that, girl. She created a podcast called For Generations to Come to provide what she needed in her time of despair, which was wisdom, encouragement, and truth. The For Generations to Come podcast is centered around embracing and empowering others towards Christ through the day-to-day life of following Christ. It's not only a ministry for her, but a movement to shine light on the issues that we are experiencing and how to deal with them. She's a follower of Jesus first and foremost, a wife and a mom of 2. Let's clap it up for Miss Moesha. There is nothing more inspiring to see than for those who are turning their pain into purpose. Her whole podcast, this whole movement that she has going is a result of the pain that she experienced, and now she's trying to be for others what she needed in her lowest moments of life. That is pretty amazing. Please be sure to follow her on Instagram. You can find her at MoeshaC_, and that is spelled MoEshac_. Please be sure to look up her podcast For Generations to Come. Subscribe, leave a rate, review, all of that good stuff. Let's clap it up for her and give her the recognition that she so deserves. If you would like to nominate a hard-working woman to be featured on an episode and to receive recognition via my social media platforms, please head over to @_the Yellow Room on Instagram, and you can look up my Facebook group page, The Yellow Room, so that we can connect, get to know one another, and you can go ahead and send me the information for the woman that you are nominating. I'm all about giving my sisters recognition for all of their hard work and letting everyone else know all the amazing things that they're doing. If you don't, do the whole social media thing, please feel free to email me at theyellowroompodcast@gmail.com. This is not only limited to, the Working Woman Wednesday nominations. I'm always open to your feedback, any suggestions on topics that you would like to hear more about. If you disagree with anything I say, if you agree with anything I say, I want to hear it all. Today's topic is about dealing with toxic work environments. Are you feeling stuck in a workplace that's tearing you down and tearing you apart? Do you find it challenging to stay sane in your workplace?
This can be the result of a horrible boss, an annoying coworker, or the overall company culture that you're at. I want to help you out. I've been there, I've done that, and I refuse. I made a promise to myself that I would never stay in a situation or an environment that would have me feeling stuck and defeated. I've worked way too hard for anyone to mistreat me. And you've worked way too hard yourself. You deserve so much better. So today, I'll be talking through some coping mechanisms as you develop your exit strategy because, sis, you need to leave. You need to leave. Some indicators that you are in a toxic work environment are feeling overwhelmed, anxious, depressed, reclusive, or distracted. You just dread the thought of walking through the doors of work, or, that mere thought of having to go to work tomorrow just stresses you out. So I've been with my company 3.5 years, and I've had 3 different positions. Now, there was a time where I literally, as I'm walking in the parking lot and into the workplace, I would literally have to pray my way in through those doors. I know I have a problem. Sometimes I overreact. I talk too much. I talk before I've really thought through what it is that's about to come out. And sometimes I might, end up in situations that could have been prevented had I just thought about what I was going to say. I'm working on that. I'm a work in progress. But I was very much so in a toxic work environment. And honestly, it affected me in my personal life. I would bring it home with me. It would affect how I would treat my significant other. And it's just not good. So I'll be giving you all some tips on how I was able to get outside of that position. So I ended up staying with my company, but I'm far better off now. I'm happier than ever. Nothing's perfect, but it's much better. So I'll be going ahead and discussing some ways that you too can get out of your toxic situation. If moving on or leaving your company is not an immediate option, I want to give you some tips on how to deal with those unfortunate situations and, those bosses who don't exemplify any leadership traits. I want to help you deal with them. And again, I've been with my company for 3.5 years. It's my only big girl job. And although I was in a toxic position, I chose to move throughout the company. I'm far better off. I'm paid more. I have better work-life balance. My mental clarity is just all around better. Life is just so much better. So again, these are tips that were helpful for me, and I hope that they are helpful for you. Number 1, take a walk. In the midst of your boss being petty, your coworkers being petty, unfair treatment, you name it, all of the bad things that can happen in a toxic work environment, sometimes you just need to step away from your desk. I can't tell you how many times walking away has spared hurt feelings and, even saved me from getting fired. Like I said, I'm a work in progress, and I'm learning to really reflect on and just take a moment to really think about what I want to say before I actually say it. Meditating is great. I know sometimes on the worst of days, I would literally get up from my desk, take a few laps around the building, say to myself what I want to say, and then I would realize, Nika, you cannot say that. I don't care how outspoken you think you are. You cannot talk to people like that. And it really, resets your focus and resets your mind on what is actually important and not allowing people to get the best of you. I told myself that I can't treat people bad, no matter how bad they try to treat me, because the reality is hurt people hurt people. And it is my daily prayer that I'm a light in someone's darkness. So if someone comes into work, they've rolled out of the wrong side of the bed and they're just out to make someone else's day horrible, all that I can do is bring the best me to my workplace. So you can control the thermostat of the room that you walk into. And sometimes keeping things cool requires you to just walk away, take a deep breath, and really think through things and try to be as optimistic as possible about any given unfortunate situation. Number 2, keep your eyes open to new opportunities. Doing so will provide you with the hope and encouragement to get through that toxic situation until better comes your way. Doing so requires you to always keep your resume updated. A good rule of thumb, what I do is I have a OneNote on my work computer where I keep a track record of all of my accomplishments. A lot of times, day to day, we let the days go by and we don't even realize all the hard work that we put into these great projects. And the year go by and you're just like, well, what did I actually do this year? You know that you've worked hard, but you forget those granular details. So what I like to do is I keep a track record of all the great things that I've done in the past year on an ongoing basis. So at my company, we do what's called annual merit reviews. And this track record helps me to stay on top of and remind myself of all of the hard work that I've done. Another reason why this can be beneficial is, on those bad days where you're feeling defeated and that toxic work environment is getting the best of you, sometimes you have to remind yourself of who you are. So this tracker can remind you of how dope you are and how great your work ethic is. Also, LinkedIn is a great resource for you. The same way you maintain your Instagram and Facebook and all the time that you're scrolling on those sites, you need to be investing the same amount of time in updating and staying connected with people on LinkedIn. LinkedIn has a special tool. It's under the career interest section. You can go ahead and update that section to signal companies and hiring managers that you are open to new opportunities. I don't know what area you're in, but if you look on things like Eventbrite, you can oftentimes find networking events where you can, step outside of yourself, get to know people, get linked in with people who may be able to, get you the inside scoop on any new positions that their company has to offer. As the saying goes, it's not what you know, it's who you know. So remember to always keep your resume updated and be friendly, be open to new relationships and new connections. I'll be right back after this message. Hello, Yellow Room family. Today's episode was brought to you by Anchor. I chose Anchor as my podcast host because it is, in fact, the easiest way to make a podcast. Anchor gives me everything I need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. In fact, this episode was created and edited right from my mobile device. Anchor's creation tools allow me to record and edit my podcast on the go to make it sound great. They even distributed my podcast for me so that it can be heard on all platforms, to include Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. For more information, download the Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Number 3, surround yourself with positive influences inside of the workplace. Surround yourself with people who can lift you up, build up your confidence, and help you focus on your long-term goals. Essentially, you need a circle of people who are going to bring out the best in you in the worst of situations. Something I've done to take it a step further, because sometimes those positive influences aren't around when you need them most, is I created an affirmation cloud. This affirmation cloud is something that I look at and try to remind myself of on a daily basis. This cloud is filled with adjectives of my ideal work environment. So on those days when I'm just not feeling it, I look at this cloud and I envision myself in this ideal work situation. For me, it boosts my mood and it puts things in perspective. Number 4, let it go before you get home. I'm going to repeat that. Let it go before you get home. I don't know if you all have ever heard of the statement garbage in, garbage out, but sometimes in toxic workplace environments, your head can get filled with so much negative trash. And sometimes, well, all the time, you need to take out that trash before you step foot into your home. We spend so much time in our workplace and we invest way too much energy for us to have to come home and allow those negative situations to affect our relationships at home. As I previously mentioned, in my old role where I just felt like so yucky by the end of the workday and I just had the worst attitude ever. I didn't want to talk to people. I didn't want people to look at me. I would literally come home and I would take it out on my now husband, and it's unfair to him. So just because you have, a horrible day at work, that doesn't mean that you allow it to affect your relationships and your interactions after work. A good rule of thumb is, yes, you can still vent and let your loved ones, your family at home know what's going on at work, but not dwell on it constantly, because it just has negative effects. I would suggest you have a work buddy. This can be one of the positive influences that I previously mentioned. Vent to them and kind of get it all out. If it's not good to have things bottled up, indeed. However, it's not fair for your people and your family at home to have to deal with the aftermath of your crazy work environment. Instead of complaining and, having them feel all of the negative things that are going on in the workplace, instead, you can let them know that you're having a hard time. But instead of communicating all of the negative things, how about communicating and getting their feedback on ways that you can exit and get an exit strategy together. Number 5, be reasonable with your time. You need to be establishing and setting boundaries for yourself in your workplace. I don't know where this whole myth of if you work through your breaks, you work through your lunches, you stay over, you work when it's not necessary is equivalent and is reflective of your overall work ethic. I don't know where that myth came from, but it's honestly not a good thing to do, especially if you are in a toxic work environment. You are so worthy of a position that brings you joy and fulfillment. You don't need to be spending any unnecessary time working in that position when you're not supposed to. You have to take care of you first. I'll be the first to tell you, yes, work hard, put in all the work necessary to get the job done. However, you have to look out for yourself first. Don't keep placing yourself in situations and around people who belittle you, who treat you poorly. Don't go above and beyond people and for any company that doesn't treat you fairly. It's not okay. So you need to go ahead and set those boundaries, communicate. I don't care if you have to take it to the HR manager, to your manager, to a supervisor, to your peers, but you need to go ahead and clearly communicate that you're here to get your job done. Nothing else, nothing more. Those days of you being overworked and underpaid are over. They are over, sis. Like, you need to get it together. You deserve more. You are so deserving of a much better situation. So now is your time to get it together. Everybody knows somebody who hates their job, and they're in toxic work environments. That's probably why they hate their job. So please, please, please do me a favor. Go ahead and share this episode with someone who can use it. Someone who you think can use a little help and assistance with getting outside of that toxic work environment, because we all deserve so much better. Thank you so much for tuning in for another episode. If you are new here, please consider subscribing on whatever platform you're listening in on today. Leave me a rating, leave me a review, comment, whatever you feel that you want to do. If you already consider yourself a part of the Yellow Room family, please consider making a small monthly donation to sustain and contribute to my growing platform. No amount is too small. Donations can be made at anchor.fm/theyellowroom/support. If you are unable to, I still love you just the same. You can still support me by listening, sharing, and providing feedback. I thank you all so much, and I appreciate your continued listenership. Thank you.